Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to those new subscribers. Thank you very much for subscribing, and please give me a cup of coffee if you'd be so kind. Thank you very much. We're now pushing on 850 subscribers. Obviously the first milestone is 1,000. We'll probably do something special for that project. This project, something completely different and something many people will frown upon and ridicule, I would imagine, and that is to update the tweeter driver on a Jim Rogers JR149 mini monitor, if you like. Originally it was built with a KEF T27. This is a replacement. The original, I've owned these for 40 years. I never did like the treble unit. This treble unit is the KEF T27, and to me, to my ears, it's personal preference, to my ears, this thing sounded very, dare I say, coarse. Now many will say, oh, that's part and parcel of the design of the actual complete package as a JR149, but we've moved on a tad since this was produced, and indeed Falcon Acoustics or Falcon Electronics loudspeakers, they actually reproduced this. Whether that new one is any better, it probably is, but I haven't gone down the route. When I did this modification many years ago, this modern variant of the T27 from Falcon was not available. So it's a very inert structure box. It's a piece of 2mm aluminium shaped in a sort of a horseshoe fashion with a flat front, or a circular fashion with a couple of holes for the drive units. There is a brace, aluminium T brace that goes across here, and there's a self-tapper, PK type of self-tapper holding the top end in, and there's a whacking great big M4 that holds the bass unit in. Anyway, and then it's lined with foam, and a nice piece of engineering, very nice piece of engineering indeed, in my opinion. We've got a bit of damping on the front here, this here, to give this some rigidity, and there used to be a big piece of foam running across here to stop the diffractions off this leading edge, which is almost pretty pointless because immediately afterwards you had another edge here. But let's move on. So let's talk about some crossovers. The original crossover. Here's the original. This is all available on the internet. You can go and buy this. You can go and download this. This is the typical crossover. It came in a couple of variants. Some had fuses, some had attenuation on the tweeter, but that's the basic circuit there. And Jim Rogers cleverly, to try and get all this in the little 35mm circular base, you get 35-40mm base, he used two inductors in series to reduce their physical size, and that works quite well. That's the original, for those that are interested, but it's all this is available on the internet. And then a guy come up with what they call a Type 24, and here it is here. and again you have an attenuation here on the tweeter, or an L pad, and you can link this out here, and that would drop it. I think it's by about 3 dB. It's 2 or 3 dB. But there's the link there. I've run all of these. And then we go to, let's bring it up to date. And what I took advice, I think from this, again, this was many years ago I did this. I took advice from Falcon. And he said, really? He said, you want to use one of these? He says, a CAS soft dome, 29 TFF/W, about 6 ohms, made in Norway. I don't think they're made in Norway now. But this is a very nice tweeter. This is a very soft surround here to stop any diffraction, any distortion, and it's on a plastic reinforced surround, unlike the T27 is mild steel. I don't like that at all. But anyway, so we had to move on with a crossover. Pretty much the crossover didn't change on the bass, but it did on the treble. So in effect, what we have is the original, there's a schematic, we have the original bass crossover, but instead of using 2 inductors in series, we just use one. We cobbled together the T29 and the B110, and that is the crossover for that layout. What does it look like? As always with my stuff, I didn't build this, somebody else built this, but there it is there. RFC crossovers. RFC is a manufacturer of speakers, crossover designs, one thing or another. And it turned out like that. So you've got the input here, there's your 22 ohm there. It's your inductor for your bass. And this is the bass setup here. Bit of a baffle step. And there's a tweeter element there, just that there, just a few components, not a lot really. So there's not a lot in the signal path. How does it measure? Not very well by modern standards. And I went on and predominantly I run these active with 4 amplifiers and a mini disc 2.4 HD crossover setup. This is really just an introduction. This is the first part of a put together, and then we're going to do some measurements and some tweaking. I'll do some measurements with the passive crossover, and then we'll do some measurements with the active crossover. We'll see how that measures. They sound very nice in the right environment, and they have to be close coupled to the wall to get any bass reinforcement. And what I mean by close coupled to the wall, within an inch. These things, the bracket, you could buy a bracket many years ago, these would sit on the wall, and it would be about an inch away from the wall to get that bass reinforcement. You can overdrive them. You only need about 20 watts. 100 watts is fine, but you've got to be a little bit judicious with the volume knob, because the KEF B110 does bottom out. You get a bit of popping if you overdrive them. But by the by, so this is a quick intro into this JR149 setup, if you like, or refit, or it's not really a refurb, it's just a technical analysis, if you like, of the crossovers, what's been done over the years. I'm no in-depth expert. There are lots of information and website about this particular speaker. It's just a bit of fun, just a bit of entertainment for those that are interested. And thanks for your thumbs up, thanks for all your comments, and we'll come back in another video with a bit more detail about this particular speaker. So for now, thanks a lot, enjoy your music, have some fun, and keep safe. Bye for now.